Mac and cheese is, I think, the true definition of comfort food. What makes it so good is that simple bechamel cheese sauce tossed with loads of macaroni so that the cheese sauce is not only on the outside but oozes on the inside of the macaroni. You know what I'm talking about. And just a nice, crispy, cheesy crust. Now you can have it without the crust, but I always prefer to have it baked with it, and that's what the polls seem to suggest as well. Full recipe is going to be on my website. If you follow me on Instagram, you know what this casserole looked like before our YouTube crowd over here, and I'm going to tell you a quick hack later on in the video on what to do if you really botch up your bechamel sauce. Let's get started right now. So first things first, get your water into a rolling boil and make sure you season it with a generous amount of salt to really help to season your macaroni. Now give that a quick stir just to make sure nothing is stuck at the bottom of the pot, and make sure to cook the macaroni 2 to 3 minutes below the recommended amount on the box, and make sure to turn the oven to 350 Fahrenheit. Over to making our cheese sauce. Here's some butter, here's a pan, add the butter to the pan and let that butter melt completely. To this we'll add some flour. And this is gonna be the start of the creation of our roux. This is gonna be the base for our bechamel sauce. With the help of a whisk or a wooden spoon, just mix that butter well with the flour, and you wanna cook this and lightly roast this until it starts to smell sort of nutty. The butter will cook that flour, so don't worry, you're not having raw flour here. Once that roux has darkened just a little bit and it smells fragrant and light, add in cold milk a little bit at a time. You'll know how much to put, because if you put a splash and it comes together and it's completely absorbed, put that same amount the next time as well, and then do the same process where you add a bit of milk, you whisk it for that roux to absorb that milk and start to become thinner and get more immersed with the sauce every time you do this. And by the end of it, you will have a really nice and smooth, liquidy bechamel sauce. That's all it is. Now using a good whisk is key to make sure you don't waste time and energy in whisking that flour with the milk. Always whisk a bit of milk with the roux that you have in that pan, and don't ever put all the milk in at once and then start mixing it. You will have lumps that way. But another way to get lumps is if you have a really bad whisk, or if you don't have a whisk at all. So what are you gonna do if you don't have a whisk? Can you not have mac and cheese? Do you not deserve mac and cheese because you don't have a whisk? No, you can have it. Just do your best to mix the milk with that flour, that roux, with a fork, a wooden spoon, or even like a small whisk. Do your best that you can. And let's say your tools fail you and you happen to have a blender or a food processor. Put that lumpy milk and flour mixture into the food processor or the blender and then whiz it. All we care about is those lumps blending in to the milk, right? No matter how we do it. So do that and you will be fine. That's exactly what I did in my super old video for mac and cheese. Let me know if you can find it. There's a weird cut when I start whisking it and when the sauce actually appears done, because I had a super small, kind of broken whisk. Didn't have a proper whisk back then, and that's exactly what I did, and you couldn't tell a difference now, could you? So once everything is combined and mixed well together, you just want to let that sauce come up to a light simmer, just like this, because as soon as that happens, it's going to start to thicken. At that point, season with some salt, pepper, and nutmeg. You can use ground nutmeg, sure, but the fragrance and the effect of freshly grated nutmeg is completely worthwhile. Mix that all well, make sure you don't add too much salt at this stage, because we are going to add some cheese which has its own salt. So once you've mixed it, turn that heat off. Let that sauce sit without the heat for about 3 to 5 minutes, and then add in all of your cheese meant for the bechamel cheese sauce. Don't add the cheese meant for the topping right now. So I'm using 2 cheeses here. The first one is mostly strong cheddar, and the second one is some mozzarella. The mozzarella is what's going to help with some of those cheese pulls. Once you've added that in, because of that residual heat in the pan, it's going to melt right away. And because it's not on direct heat, we won't overheat that cheese, which might cause it to split. We want to just melt that cheese. And by the way, if you're anything like me, then you know you're having some mischievous thoughts with that cheese sauce, because you might be snacking right now. You might be getting some nice sourdough to scoop that up, or even thinking about cheese fries. So if you guys live to cook, then be sure to subscribe to this channel. I bring 2 new recipes every single week, and I hope to bring my years of expertise with restaurant cooking into here to really help these dishes approachable and really easy for you to execute. And you know what else is easy to execute? Putting that cooked macaroni into that bechamel cheese sauce. Bang, put that right in there, mix this really well, and this is just so much fun to mix. It's just cheese sauce and pasta. Who does not love that? And for those of you who want to try an unbaked version, the small percentage, but there are still people who like that, you can just stop right here and you have a great KD style, but like super elevated type of macaroni and cheese. You can enjoy this right now, or you can just have this and the baked version. You do you. I'm definitely gonna have a nice biteful, because that's too good to resist. Now I hope that this is going to be a super easy and approachable guide to a nice bechamel sauce and a nice mac and cheese. And if you agree with that so far, be sure to like it so we can really spread this video all across YouTube. We're now going to transfer all of that into a casserole, or if you're making bite-sized macaroni portions, put them in ramekins, whatever works for you, but it has to be in a casserole, which is then going to be topped with some more of our initial combination of our strong yellow cheddar, mozzarella. But to really make this a bit more special, I'm gonna add a bit of smoky applewood cheddar right on top. Now I'm not gonna add too much of this because this is a really strong cheese, but no one's gonna stop you from using another combination of your favorite mac and cheese cheeses. One popular cheese which is great with mac and cheese is something creamy and rich like Gruyere. So feel free to experiment and make this combination something that works best for you. Now right after you've spread your smoked applewood cheddar on top, add in some panko breadcrumbs. Just sprinkle that over the casserole and then add a couple drizzles of olive oil to coat those breadcrumbs. That's going to work with the fats from the cheese and the olive oil to really form a nice and even crispy cheesy crust. Now cook this in the oven for 25 to 30 minutes at your oven heated at 350 Fahrenheit. Now this recipe, consider this to be a blank canvas to what a mac and cheese is supposed to be like. Now you can do so much with this recipe to really make it your own. Just how I shared my cheeseburger mac and cheese a couple of weeks ago. Just how I have in the past shared a lobster mac and cheese where I made some changes to how I make the bechamel sauce with the chilies and the chili butter. And you can really do so much. And just to create a spark in your creativity pit, I have a free guide linked down below. Use that to really help do something special the next time you step into your kitchen. My something special is this. You want to bake this until you have a beautiful golden brown color, just like this, and listen to this. And that's what you call a satisfying crunch. This is going to be so good, and I can't wait for all of you to try this. And share this recipe with a cheesy friend of yours. And if you really want to try a super exciting fusion version of a mac and cheese, check out my butter chicken mac and cheese. And for more casserole recipes just like this, I have a full playlist. I've linked that down below. Check that out, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye guys.